Okay, so I'm excited for Mortal Kombat 11. This might seem a bit familiar because I did something like that back with Mortal Kombat X, and that was one of my first top 10 lists. This time I decided to bring it into characters that I want to see in the game. I'm not going to be one of those losers on the internet who make a list and say, this character needs to be in, or this character should be in, because people that do stuff like that are fucking twats, and I hate them. So now that I've adequately insulted the retards, let's talk about things that just I want to see. Whether these guys show up in Mortal Kombat 11 or later down the line, it's fine. But this is just all subjective, me talking about me things, my feelings, and that's basically it. As of this point, there has been a leak saying that Frost is a possible candidate for the game, and though she's not officially confirmed, she's not on the list, but just let it be known that Frost would be on the list otherwise, because I like Frost, and I think Frost should get a better chance to shine in the spotlight. Scarlet also would have been in this list, but she's definitely inside of Mortal Kombat 11, so that makes me happy, and I'm glad that they actually have a chance to make her into a real character and flesh her out. Now, as per usual, I'm going to try and keep it a little bit brief because this is a top 15, meaning this is a bit of a long list, and I don't like super long videos that drag on excessively long, so I'm going to try and keep it under about a minute. First thing, I do want to say if you notice any sort of patterns or anything with this, just wait till the end of the video and I will explain my reasoning. Now, the first character I want to see back, and I think would be pretty cool to see brought back, is Reiko, however they want to say his name because it's got 3 different pronunciations. He has only been inside of Mortal Kombat 4 and 7. That's it. So he's kind of a blank slate. They gave him a bit of a personality, and the biggest reason that he probably won't show up is because inside of the Mortal Kombat X comic, he got killed. And that is considered canon, so it's... I don't know, like, I haven't read on Noob yet, but like Noob Saibot's dead, but he's leaked to be returning, so it's not like it's an impossibility for him to show up. I just want to see him actually be something of worth, because he really wasn't, and this is an opportunity to take a character that is basically nothing than, hi, I'm a general guy who likes to be Shao Kahn, and that's it. Like, why not turn the scale up to 11 and turn him into a major bad guy or something? Make him ruler of Outworld or something like that, and then boom, you've got the entire thing set up. Like, you got this nobody guy who turned into the big bad guy, and there you go, like, the story writes itself. Now, going on to a less popular example and more of a joke character, or at least that's what he started off as, is Meat. Now, I'm not so passionate about Meat, and I don't really think there's a lot you could do with him, but there's still enough where you could, I don't know, make him interesting, throw him in as DLC, or give him something a little bit more unique to him. After all, they did give him a actual story inside of Armageddon saying, hi, Shang Tsung created me, and like, you could just have him show up at random points of the story or whatever, be like, oh god help, or whatever, or a comparison with something like Scarlet or Melina. Like, you can use that sort of character and have those interesting interactions. It's not super high on my priority list, but if Meat came back, I'd be like, sweet, awesome, that's really cool. I think it'd also be pretty cool to see what sort of actual fatalities Meat could come up with, considering he's never had one before. Now, going on to someone who actually has a bit of a chance here is Jarek. Jarek has made like a tiny little appearance in the MKX comic, and that's about it. But Jarek is also kind of like Reiko, where he's basically a blank slate. There's not really much going for him. And on top of that, like, when he started off in Mortal Kombat 4, he sucked because he was just Kano. And then in Armageddon, they decided to switch it up just a little bit more. And they also teased about the idea that he finally got his fatalities, but he never got to show them because of the way Armageddon handled fatality. But I still think it would be interesting to go ahead and bring Jarek back, let him get his fatality moment, and just the idea of having more Black Dragon representation. You could have interactions between Kano, Jarek, and Cabal and anyone else. Like, it works. Mortal Kombat X teased the idea that Kano needed a successor. Jarek could be the one to fill that role. Like, there's ways you could make this work. I just want some of these characters that have absolutely nothing going for them to have something going for them. Going on to someone that's not debuted in Mortal Kombat 4 would be Nitara. Nitara has yet to debut inside the new timeline, and Nitara is also another one of those blank slate characters. The extent of her character was like, hi, I'm a vampire and I want to free my people. That was all they gave her, and that's about it. Like, we got a hint that she manipulated Cyrax and had Reptile serve her, but like, they didn't really roll with it, and I don't know, I just feel like you could do a little bit more with her. and hello, hot, sexy vampire lady, like, let's bring it on, man. Okay, so this character I actually didn't like for the longest time, and it's less about it being a bad character, more about being just bad execution. Draman is an Oni, and currently dead inside the current timeline, where he's just like, hi, I exist, and then he gets killed by Quan Chi, and that's literally the extent of it. He's not there for shit. I understand why they wouldn't, like, want to bring him back, that's fine, but, like, the main problem with them was the fact that it was like, hi, here's a ball of flies, and it's like, that was a fucking stupid attack. Just get rid of all the stupid fly shit and you're fine. Just give yourself a ruthless, relentless killing monster with a fucking metal club on its hand, and you have something good. Like, the Oni weren't the problem was the way they did it. If they did it and they did it right, it could be a cool character. So I want them to try and make it better, but I know that that's more than likely not going to happen. So that's basically it as far as Draman. If he never gets to see again, that's fine, but I do think that there's an opportunity to make something of him, and they're not taking it because they're personally ashamed of the characters they made during the 3D era. Kai is another example of one of those blank slate characters. They really didn't bother developing him, and this is kind of a thing where it's like, I understand wanting to bring in fresh blood and new blood into Mortal Kombat, because I want that, I do. But I also look back at some of the characters that I'm like, you guys never really did anything with this one. What about this one? You could try turning this one into something. And that's how I feel with Kai. He was very clearly a one-off character because his ending in Mortal Kombat 4 was like, fuck it, man, I don't even care anymore. And it's like, well, shit. So I don't know why they don't just make a little bit more of him or do something with him. Like, it doesn't have to be huge. Like, I'm kind of reached that point with where it's like, I realize with some characters they're never going to get all the way, or that their potential may not be all the way. They could if they wanted it to be, but I kind of have low expectations for Kai. Just seeing him back and seeing him do something even in the background would be a nice touch. Hi, I'm a Shaolin guy. I can fight against Liu Kang and Kung Lao and try and convert them to the sources of light or something like that. Like, there's an idea. Now, in all fairness, he did get himself a nice bit of attention in the current timeline. Bo Raicho got himself one little cutscene inside the Mortal Kombat X game, which of course I fucking lost my mind and I was like, hell yes, this is great. And then he got to show up as a DLC character. That's great. But I want a little bit more of him. He is one of the ones that I would call really good that debuted in Deadly Alliance, and, like, we can take Kenshi as a perfect example, where even if he doesn't have a chapter, Kenshi felt very important to the story of Mortal Kombat X, and he started his DLC in Mortal Kombat 9. If we treat Bo Raicho kind of like that, I'll feel good, I'll be happy, I'll be like, cool, Bo Raicho really has something of himself. I find him as an enjoyable character and one of the creations from Deadly Alliance Deception that really lasted and really worked good, so I want to see him a little bit more, and yeah. Now, Tanya has actually gotten a fair bit of love over the years. She appeared in 4, Deception, Armageddon, and she even got a little bit of love inside of X. So I think out of everyone, next to Kenshi, she probably has gotten the most love out of the 3D era. That being said, I still like her a lot, and I still want to see just a little bit more of her, and then I'll be super happy. I was happy to see her show up inside of Mortal Kombat X's story mode, and then I was like, what the fuck, why isn't she playable? And then they made her DLC, which is like, that's better, but I'll still want just a bit more of her. I was happy with the fatalities they gave her and some of the interactions. Admittedly, the DLC interactions between characters aren't nearly as good, which is why I want a lot of the characters just on the default roster to be there, because then it's way more fleshed out. But yeah, I like Tanya. Let's get more Tanya in there. Alright, we finally reached a 2D character, and the reason is, a lot of the 2D characters have really got a bunch of love already, but one that has not gotten such love has been Rain. He's gotten a little bit inside of 9 by being DLC, and like a little bit inside of X by just being a part of the story, but they still have a lot more they can go with. Like, they've gave him some personality inside of Armageddon, as to where before he was just like, hi, I'm a prince of Edenia and I'm mad at Shao Kahn, and then it's like, now he's this self-entitled guy who thinks he's a god. And admittedly, I don't hate Rain because I look at him as the water ninja, and as a result, that's an interesting idea. Like, there's so many other things you can do with that. I love how they have improved him over time, and they've made his moves and his abilities way more interesting. Like, just keep playing with that. Just go further. Originally, there was a leak saying that Rain was going to be a part of Mortal Kombat 11, and I lost my shit, and I was like, holy crap, finally. But there was another leak saying that he wasn't, so I don't know what to make of it, but I still think it would be really, really awesome if Rain got to serve a more major part of the story and actually be something. This was another one of the characters that debuted in Deadly Alliance Deception that I feel was really, really good, and that's Li Mei. She got a small little preview of existence inside of Mortal Kombat X, but it was not really good at all, because we went from this bitch who's standing up for herself saying, fuck you, you're not enslaving my people, to being like, hi, I'm just a refugee, and that's about it. So I really miss Li Mei, and Li Mei was one of the characters I felt really good with during the Deadly Alliance Deception era, because she was super easy to use, had real good moves and stuff like that, so I just liked her a lot, and I want to see them bring her back. I could see it as a possibility of DLC, because they've done it with Kenshi and Bo Raicho already, but I'm not going to hold my breath, but I do think it still would be really good and a waste of them to not bring her back and throw her into this new timeline serving a much bigger purpose. Now, this guy technically debuted in Mortal Kombat Special Forces, but we never really got much of a preview of him inside the original timeline because he died inside of Special Forces and he never even got to make it inside of Armageddon. That's Tremor. Tremor is a fucking scary motherfucker, and that's exactly why I want to see him brought back, because, like, looking at his moves and his fatalities and brutalities, like, that's terrifying. If I saw that guy, like, if I was Johnny Cage and I was like, hi, I'm a skilled fighter, I'd still be intimidated by him because he's a scary guy, and I like that, and that's good. Bring him back, turn him into something. You've never really utilized him before, and, like, this is also kind of one of those things where I look at it and it's funny to think about how they can still make stuff that feels super retro. You've got the brown ninja Tremor, you've got the red ninja girl Scarlet, you've got Triborg, and it's like those are all super retro ideas, but they didn't utilize stuff like that back inside of Deadly Alliance or Deception, and it just kind of makes me wonder where these new ideas came from and why didn't they use them before. Tremor's an awesome character, and I want to see him really get used. You didn't get much in X out of him because, like, a lot of his characters is just, he's Black Dragon, yeah, and it mentions his elusive, mysterious past, but I want more. Another character with all the potential in the world to make good is Chameleon. Chameleon with a K. And that's because you've got the story about her and Reptile being the last two of her race. And why they haven't drove this further, I don't know. Now, as much as I think the Nintendo exclusivity is really cool and I like that, that's holding them back from really running with the character and actually making a storyline out of it. Because you could actually have them see them interact with each other and that would be interesting. Or anything of the sort. Like, Chameleon could be a good guy, Reptile could be a bad guy, and like, hello, you could find ways to make this work. You could turn Reptile into a good guy if you wanted to. Like, there's so much potential for that character and possibilities, but they've never done it, and I feel like it's mostly just because Chameleon with a K has always been Nintendo exclusive. Now, this excited the shit out of me because if you look over some of the interaction dialogues that they have thus far, Raiden mentions Chaos Realm, saying that there's trouble in it, and that right there immediately clicks into my brain. Havoc. Havoc is the one character of Chaos Realm. Now, the problem with this and reason why they're probably not going to bring him back is because he's dead inside of the current timeline. He got killed inside the comic series, which again, that greatly hinders things, and it sucks, so the best we might get is DLC. Apparently, from my understanding, he got a really, really good spotlight in the comic series with Rico, and that's great, but I want to see it on the big screen, and that's really it. Havoc was the best character to debut out of Deception, and I like him. And I don't know if they're ashamed of him, but they shouldn't be, because Havoc is fucking cool. And again, they found their footing with him and they made him really good, but they didn't make him good to the point where everybody got to see how cool he really is. And that's what sucks, and that's what I want to see. I want to see Havoc shown in the best light for people to see and understand and be like, that character's cool. That's what I want to see. And they've got the opportunity to do it, but they're not doing it. Another character who, yet again, is a lot of untapped potential is going to be Serena. Serena has very limited debuts. Her only real playable appearance, I'm going to say, is Armageddon. technically, yes, she is inside of Terminate Edition. She's there, and it's the Game Boy, so it's very limited and sucks, but like, bring Serena in. When we got to see her inside of Mortal Kombat X, again, yes, I was super happy, and I was excited for that, but they didn't go far enough. The idea is Serena is like this demon, and I feel like there's ways you could incorporate that into her character or her moveset or her fatalities. Serena is probably one of the most abused and forgotten characters because they've always thought, they're like, we'll put her at MK4, and then they changed her mind. Then they thought about Deception Deadly Alliance, and they changed her mind. So it's like, she's got this red-headed stepchild syndrome that they really need to get over and just give her some attention and love. They've hinted and they've teased, but they've never gone all the way, and that's what I want them to do. Now, the one that tops this list is going to be Fujin. I think Fujin, again, is very underutilized, and I lost my shit again when I saw him inside of MKX, and I was like, fuck yes, this is awesome. But here's where we can go even further. We know inside of Mortal Kombat 11 that we're heavily focusing on the idea of corrupt Raiden, which unfortunately, since it's a game about time travel, means it's probably going to have happy Raiden confront corrupt Raiden, and they make friends or whatever the hell. But what you could do instead is you could also have Fujin go batshit on crazy Raiden, and they could fight and stuff like that. We can take Fujin and we can push him further. Fujin is a wind god, like a character with endless potential, to the point where even his endings are like, yeah, Fujin, you're in charge of Earthrealm now, see ya, bye, and like, that's that. We don't have to do that. We want to keep Raiden. Raiden's an important character, but Fujin can still always serve as one of the next most important characters, or, you know, second in command. Like, we can go further with that. Being able to utilize his wind powers into new fatalities or X-ray moves or fatal blows or whatever the hell would be cool to see. Basically, I just want more. That's it. Like, I'm not ungrateful for what we've got, but what we have got has been limited, and I really want them to push things further. Now that I've listed out every single character that I want to see return, I want to explain why majority of them are 3D characters, and that's the simple reason that MK9 already gave a bunch of them the spotlight, and as a result, I'm happy with it. So I don't feel the need to say, yes, bring this one back, even though we saw them like not that long ago. I want to go further to the ones that we haven't seen in like 15 plus years. That's what I'm thinking. Now, that being said, I think it would be a super cool idea to see them bring back Stryker, and then we could have Stryker versus Aaron Black. Like, that would be cool to me. I also like what they did with Smoke, especially Human Smoke. Robot Smoke has gotten a lot of love, but Human Smoke, they made him super cool inside of Mortal Kombat 9. I'd have no problem with them bringing him back. I don't have a disdain for any of the originals, it's just we've seen them all represented so highly in the past that I'm happy. They made Quan Chi great, they made Kano great, they made Ermac great. Like, a lot of them already have gotten the love that they need. So I want to look at the rejected children and make them feel part of the family. That's basically it. All the original characters have gotten their dues, and I'm happy for them. I don't hate the roster or anything. It does feel kind of weird to think that only 3 characters debuted in 11, but at the same time, we also have a lot of returning characters from X going on, so it's technically like we still have a lot of new blood, and I want them to have new blood, but I also want them to have old blood that wasn't given much of a shot brought back. I'm personally tired of seeing Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Katana, so on over and over again, which is why I want them to try and mix things up a little bit more. I'm excited for Mortal Kombat 11, I'm gonna play it, and this isn't a DLC list. This is a list of characters I want to really get represented positively inside of the story of either 11 or 12, or whatever the hell. Some of these I'm less passionate about, like Meat, but it still would be super cool to see these characters brought back and given new life in this new NetherRealm era. They've been killing it ever since, and I want them to keep doing that. That's all I can think of saying. I'm JC4R. See you guys later.